Hi, I'm Brian,
And I'm Jess.
and we're father and daughter.
Aww.
And we're capturing our own personal stories. I just did mine so we can archive it. And w- uh, when new folks come to our live stream, they can refer to that and get our whole story. So we don't have to explain everything in detail every time a new person shows up. So Jessica is going to share her story about her deconverting now. So
Yes.
you're ready to
Thanks for
roll.
that phenomenal intro.
Go, Jess, go, Jess.
Yeah, I would definitely kick the whole table. Check out Dad's video too if you want his story on deconstructing. Mine is a lot different because I was born into, well, I was one when you guys got saved in a very Pentecostal evangelical church. So I grew up in a very
Noise.
in, in a
Yeah.
very church Christian world. So that was from my earliest memories. So we went to church once a week and then later twice a week, pretty regularly, sometimes more. And growing up, it was, when I was little, didn't understand it, but I was very involved in church. And I think around like 8 years old, when we got plugged into a church that we were at for quite a while, is when people started noticing, like, oh, this kid is really good at memorizing stuff. And I was on the junior Bible quiz team, and I could,
Ooh,
it,
you were good.
I was really good.
Take that, devil.
Humble brag.
Suck on that, Satan.
So it was fun. It was competitive. I liked it, and the adults that were around me at that church were like, "Oh, you are going to be so godly because you're memorizing all of this scripture at a young age." I didn't care about that. I didn't think about that. All I cared about still to this is like animals and food. And then this was like a competitive outlet. So to me it was just interesting, and I always thought in my little kid brain, who really didn't understand that much, like, oh, at some point this will click, like the godly stuff. But people would say
Yeah,
things like, oh, you're going to do great stuff for God. Got a little bit older, got baptized. I remember, I think I was like 9. i
yeah,
i,
somewhere in there.
I think so. And I remember thinking, like, oh, maybe I'll feel different. But I most remember that I kind of just liked being on stage because I was one of the only kids getting baptized, and I had like memorized something to recite. And I always liked performing. Like, I was a theater kid. I still like performing. And so I liked having something to recite, and all the adults coming up and saying, "You're so eloquent and you're so godly." And I was
And
like,
must have such a wonderful
you
father.
must have such a wonderful dad. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was
Did you ever do great things for God or just mediocre?
I think it
I,
was pretty great.
yeah, yeah, you did. You
I
certainly livened the place up,
I did. I
which
did.
most churches need that.
Oh, thank you.
They
Thank the
all need a
millions.
Jess.
Oh, that's so nice.
So true.
And I had fun. I liked it. I think maybe around like 10 is when I would start getting kind of scared feelings. Like, it was starting to click of this, okay, this God is the most important thing that there is in my life. However, can't see him, don't hear from him, don't, and I never had, like you did, a big conversion experience. I was just in church all the time. I was like the kid because I was always performing and stuff. I was the top in my honor stars class and the missionettes program, and always on stage, like singing, reciting literal books of the Bible, not an exaggeration. I had memorized books of the Bible, and I could recite like entire chapters verbatim. So I got a lot of attention, and people thought I was like very holy or something. Um,
Eek.
but I was just, I would start thinking, like, well, I hope I really am saved, because if not, I will go to hell. And that seems like a really bad thing. Don't really want to get tortured for eternity. But I never felt anything. And I am like, felt like there was a God or a Jesus. And the other people in my church, including like spiritual leaders and people that I really looked up to and thought were smart, it seemed like it was really real to them, but I just never felt it. And I'm a very deeply feeling person. I literally like think that I can communicate with my chickens. Like, I have openly wept if something happened to them. I'm a deep feeler, and I connect with everything.
Yeah.
Everything, stuffed animals, nature. So why wouldn't this God connect with me if it's like a loving father? And I would try. I would go up to the altar from ages like 11 through 25, praying and asking God, like, hey, if you're real, just let me feel something to know or hear that still small voice.
Yeah.
And elders of the church, that sounds so weird, but would come up and pray with me, and they would say stuff like, well, for one, they'd be speaking in tongues, which is just really wild because it doesn't help anybody. Like, maybe
Harsh.
it feels nice for them, but it was just confusing to me and kind of freaky as a young person because they're just like making sounds, and it just seems counterintuitive. Here's somebody looking for the truth and information, and then you come up speaking in a language that like is not a language and that I could not understand. Just very confusing. And then it was sort of taught that like that was an elevated form of prayer in our church too. So I felt this like I don't have the gift of tongues because some of my friends said they did, and they were like, if you hear or think of just like what sounds like nonsense words in your head, just say them out loud, and then you're speaking in tongues. And even in 12,
Nice.
13-year-old brain, I thought, that seems made. I don't think.
Someone might be making something up. The thing too is what's funny, what's happened to you, you're describing happens to a lot of people,
Yeah.
adults that aren't feeling what they're being told they're supposed to, or seeing others. And a lot of times it's never God's fault. It's never,
Oh, yeah.
it's always your fault. Like, well, you're not doing something right, or do you have hidden sin? Are you really sincere? Are you really a believer? Are you really trying? Whereas a loving father, the first, like, even a not great father would be hard pressed not to go into his kid's bedroom if they were crying out to him.
That's a really
Like,
good point.
so the most loving, perfect father, no, I think I'll hold off for 3 or 4 or 40 years just to toughen you up because I want to strengthen you.
Yeah.
That would be called an
A-
absent father. Like,
Yep.
so it's just, again, one of those things that don't make sense.
Yeah, and you guys at home, like you and mom, were great to talk to about that stuff because you never made it. You were never like, well, just got to have faith or anything. You would say, well, that makes sense. And you guys were really validating. It was more at the church, I think, that people would make it like I was doing something wrong,
Oh,
or I
yeah.
didn't have an, like you said, there was something in the way, or my vanity because I liked to be on stage was like getting in the way or something like that, which is funny because I was also asked constantly to be doing stuff up front,
Yeah,
drama
by
team, and by like church leaders and youth pastors and stuff. And then, I would be told that I was liked attention too much or was self-seeking or stuff like, so it was confusing. It was confusing. And it's like, well,
yeah,
if God made me this way and made me good at speaking in front of people, is that vain or is that just like a gift or
yeah.
a talent? So some of that was confusing, but I really took it as, well, I must be doing something wrong because that's what the people in church were telling me. It was like, you must be doing something wrong. I didn't think that there was anything wrong with God. I thought I'm just not getting it. Oh, and overarchingly overshadowing, if I'm missing something, I'm going to die and go to hell. And that was like terrifying to me. And I would have like, haven't in a few years, but even into adulthood, like nightmares where I'm in a plane and it's crashing and I'm like praying, please let me go to heaven. I'm so sorry that I was never able to make it click, but I believe, just don't let me go to hell. So it's funny how even when I started deconstructing, I would have those dreams. And even in my dream, self aware enough, I would know, like, you don't even think that this is real anymore. But I would be like, well, just in case, please don't let me go to hell.
Yep.
Sounds terrible. So I think I'm trying to think of where I left off. Just throughout childhood, preteen years, early teen years, really searching, trying to have that connection with God and having a super active, on my end, prayer life of like praying all the time,
Yeah.
every day, almost a continuous dialogue of stuff that was happening. And I did feel weird, like, seems like sometimes prayers get answered, sometimes they don't, almost like there's no rhyme or reason, almost like it's chance or random chaos. But when I was 16, I was at a church, and it was a big youth group that I was in, and they selected just a few of us to go on a missions trip to a very desolate, remote third world country. and they like handpicked students that they thought were, I don't know, exemplary, Jesus-y. I don't, I guess. And I was one of the people that they picked to go on that trip. And that was definitely the start to my seeing major discrepancies in a loving God. And I mean, this was holding dying kids literally in my arms, and their parents begging me to take them back to the States so that they wouldn't die, so that they had a
Mm.
chance. They did not have food. They didn't have, it was like snowing, it was freezing cold. Most of the kids there did not have pants or shoes. And like I remember just hugging them, and they were shivering so hard, it was making my body shake. It was so just, it was so eye-opening because I had grown up obviously in a comfortable suburban, never starving, and just to think, so there is a loving God that would say, just by the luck of where you're born, this is how your life is and this is how their life is. There's nothing that they have done wrong. But even so, if I said that to anybody at church, the answer would be, well, God's plan is above our understanding. And that to me is just, was never a fulfilling answer.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not.
a fulfilling answer.
No, it doesn't make, that's not what I have seen of a loving father because I have one, and I don't understand. And at 16, I could not, I had such a disconnect with that. Like, okay, this is not lining up with what I'm seeing. And around the same time that I came back, that was when it really started becoming apparent that the people at the church had a big problem with me, just as I was, how I looked, the fact that I liked fashion, the fact that I always liked high-heeled shoes, and it became a thing of like, you're tempting young men. And even if I was just wearing like a cute outfit that my parents had bought for me for my birthday or something like that, and I'm not talking about like crop tops or bikinis or anything like that, just like
Yeah.
cute outfits. One instance, I think I probably didn't go to church for several years after this, but I was just had come back from the missions trip, which was to Africa, remote part of Africa, and was walking through the church, and some lady that I didn't even know ran up behind me and grabbed my shirt and yanked it down because my shirt had ridden up maybe like an inch or so at my back so you could see skin. So all the guys were like,
Yeah. Take me to your leader.
yeah, they're
Wow.
put your Jesus goggles on now, fellas. There's a little bit of back showing. Like, do you not have television? Do you never go to a beach or a pool? But anyway, this
She was
lady,
nuts.
she was nuts. Ran up, yanked my tank top down, and then grabbed me like around the shoulders from behind like that, and got up in my ear and goes, "You were on the missions trip. People look up to you as an example. You ought to know better than to dress like that." And just walked away. And thank God I was, no pun intended, I was walking with Dad, and he goes, "What did she just say to you?" And I told him, and then he ran after her and confronted her and made her cry. So it had a happy ending. But I started to feel like,
And this was in the preeminent, large-scale Baptist church in the area where
mega church, yeah.
where the pastor was on a board of a university. This was such a well-respected. So this wasn't the Pentecostal fringy place. This is
Yeah.
the mentality of a lot of Christians, and it's not all, but it's a lot. This was a mainstream kind of place. Like, how
Yeah.
bizarre would someone just think they have the right to go up and talk to and touch someone they don't even know? Like, it's just
Yeah,
bizarre.
I
And that
feel-
wasn't uncommon.
No.
Because it's a mentality that's bred.
There were a lot of, it became really clear, this weird dynamic with teenagers of if you started to have like relationship type feelings, crushes, stuff, that there was something wrong with that,
Yeah.
like all young men are just predetermined to be lustful animals, and all women are temptress Jezebels. And it's like, or maybe they're teenagers with hormones, which is entirely normal.
Yeah.
But it was just like, well, all men are going to be lustful and gross, and all women are responsible for tempting. It was just really a weird, and I started to really, even that young age, feel like, I don't think that's right. You wouldn't think God would create somebody that way and set them up for that.
And it was all at the height of the purity culture too.
Ooh, we got to do a live stream on purity culture for
So,
sure.
I again apologize for that.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. There are plenty of things that I did and said too that in Christianity and not in Christianity that I regret.
Everybody does.
Yeah, everybody does. And it didn't stop me. I got married when I was 18 because I was like, and that was a whole nother thing. It was not a great, I got married real quick after dating for a short time. I had left the church after I was slut shamed a few times for just like how I dressed and looked and stuff. And so I had been, but I wasn't like, I wasn't anti-God. I wasn't thinking there wasn't a God. I just thought it's something to do with me. I don't fit in with church people, but that's not God. So that was my mentality. I still talked to him all the time. I still had a relationship with him, and one-way relationship. I didn't feel anything, but I was trying, like I would pray all the time. So when I say talk, it would be just me in my head being like, hey God, I'm driving today. I'm thinking about my family. Please keep them safe out into the void. That was praying. It wasn't like I ever heard anything, but I wanted that and I asked for it a lot. Got married really.
No one does.
I agree. And if you do,
Get checked if you're actually hearing voices.
yeah, I would say that too, because I do think that's dangerous that's told like it's normal that you would hear a voice. That's not a normal. I shouldn't say the word normal, but
Healthy.
yeah,
I mean,
that's a
it's
good
just-
point.
yeah.
It's not.
Everybody hears their own internal dialogue. Everybody does.
Absolutely.
Some people interpret that to be something else. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's also where I think it can get kind of dangerous too. But long story short, with my ex-husband, he ended up being unfaithful and turns out he was angry, alcoholic, things that you don't find out when you only date for like 8 months, but no one could stop me. I was like, no, this is the guy. So
8 months is not that.
it's not that short, but yeah, that's a
In
good
your
point.
defense.
Thank you. I was also 18, so not fully developed brain or anything, but that's okay. Live and learn. So I got divorced, but beforehand I went to a Christian counselor, but not like a certified psychologist or a therapist. I have one now. He's incredible. If you need, I have like terrible anxiety and issues, and just he's awesome. Helps me so much. Totally recommend a good therapist. This was not. This was like an ordained, credentialed fake therapist, and basically told me that if I left my husband, my heart was hardened and I was condemning him to hell, and then said, poor guy, he has to think about you walking around dressed like that with men looking at you. I said, my parents bought me this outfit, which
It's
they
just 'cause you're
did.
pretty.
Aw.
Was that why I had an issue? And a bunch of like people with sticks up their butts or something. I mean, like,
Not the sphincter poles. Yeah, I think it was.
I mean, like,
Anywho.
don't get me started.
I know. Well, another happy ending there, though. So, Dad called her up after I left that session sobbing. My heart's hard. I'm going to go to hell, but I'm not staying with somebody that's unfaithful and an angry drunk. And Dad's like, let me talk to her, and went and met with her and made her cry too. So, once
She
again,
should not have been there.
no, very, very dangerous. Yeah, very unhelpful situation. I did leave him. These were, and I don't want someone to misconstrue this with like, oh, you were mistreated by people in the church. But I do think if there is like a loving God and these are the representatives of him, all of these leaders and officials and people with positions of power in the church, and this is how you are treating young people, that is dangerous and like super damaging. Because the message to me was, you are unwanted and wrong just because of how you look and how your personality is.
Yeah.
But also, we want you on stage for our stuff because you're a good communicator. But it was just very confusing. So I do think that that's harmful. However, all of that, I still believed it must just be me. I'm not doing something right, trying to get in touch with God. And I really all thought it was real. I had read the Bible several times, didn't love the Old Testament, was like, a lot of murder. That's kind of weird because it also says do not murder. Didn't like the subjugation of women. There's just so much in there that even in the New Testament, it was kind of undeniable that women were supposed to be submissive, that they should never have authority over men. And I was like, that just doesn't track, because if somebody has, less morality or less intelligence, I would sure think a woman, if she had more, should be have some authority. So some of that didn't make sense to me. But as you were always told, like in church, well, our what's the word? Inferior human minds just can't understand God's plan.
Yeah.
But about 2.5 years ago, yeah, one of my really good friends started to deconstruct, had grown up very religious as well, and had me watch this YouTube video called Satan's Guide to the Bible, which I was terrified to watch, but I respected my friend so much. And I'm like, well, if this guy who's this smart thinks there's something to this, I will give it a shot. And if God is really God, he can probably handle somebody asking questions about his revelation. Otherwise, it all falls apart. If you're not allowed to ask questions, it falls apart pretty quick. And Satan's Guide to the Bible wasn't like blasphemous or anything. It was literally a collection of biblical scholars who had studied the Bible, laying down fact after fact of how some of the authors of the books aren't even who they say they were. It was showing contradictions in the Bible, how it can't possibly be inerrant. And I definitely don't want to like debate or anything like that. But to me, it was the beginning of the end, and it started to unravel. And so I started looking into more historical evidence, like biblical, or not biblical, but like biblical scholars' historical evidence. And then just through my own feelings of, hey, if this is really a loving God, there's a lot of stuff here that does not make sense. And have since started making steps to getting over that like crippling fear of hell, because that was a big one. Of even like, I felt guilty researching the opposition, which is insane. There's nothing else or other belief that I would have where I wouldn't look at the other side of things. And even that started to click. Like, it's not a good place to be if you are not allowed to look at counter evidence. That's a cult. That's scary. And even that alone is like, if Christianity is so fragile and it's so wrong to look at the other side just even out of curiosity, or to like bolster your own belief, that's dangerous, and there's a problem there. So I would now consider myself, I think, atheistic, especially looking at the biblical God, but like you said, agnostic, because I cannot prove that there's not a God. I have not seen evidence of one, but I absolutely cannot prove that there's not. And I still think I'm a very spiritual person, which sounds kind of funny, but I am. And I feel a lot of connectedness with like nature and other people, food. I'm very, very spiritual with food.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my story. Was there anything I missed or that you think is prudent or you wanted to?
No, that was awesome. And this is the only time we're doing this,
Yeah.
our stories like that. So again, our live stream, check us out. Currently, at the time of doing this, we're planning on doing it every week on Wednesday from 3:30 to 5, and then we'll record everything and post it so you can watch it, listen to it at any time. And it's really initially where you'll just be through chat. We'll be watching the chat and responding to questions,
Yeah.
and just really wanting to have a place where people can bounce off ideas or even listen to others and know they're not alone and going through the same thing, and just be encouraged.
That's perfect. Yep. We just want to be a safe space, safe community. And you don't have to like, if you don't have a label, if you're like, well, I'm not an atheist yet, that is okay. It is just a safe space. If you have questions, we're not going to
Yeah,
say.
you don't ever have to be an
Yep.
atheist. If someone believes and feels good and confident in Christianity, awesome.
Yeah.
I don't want to debate that. That's not what it's for, is to
No.
debate people or talk people out of it. It's for those who are going through the process and struggling.
Just a safe little nest to come and cuddle up.
Oh,
It's creepy.
awesome. Well, thanks so
Yeah,
much.
we'll see you on Wednesdays.